Welcome everybody to the 2022 virtual tour. Since we couldn't take you to Guatemala in person this spring, we're doing our best to bring Guatemala to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Joe Bernier, CoEd's Executive Director.
And I'm Emily Paver, CoEd's Marketing and Outreach Manager.
Over the next hour and a half, we're going to transport you to Guatemala to show you firsthand the impact your support has made. We'll also give you the latest on our response to COVID and our future vision for CoEd and GLP programs.
Today, we'll take you on a journey with 4 stops. First, we'll take a look at the broader impact we've made through each of our CoEd and GLP programs.
Then we'll dive deeper into the RISE Youth Development Program. We'll even hear from some of our current RISE graduates about what they're up to now, including one by Yusby, who just this past month passed her professional nursing exam. Is that awesome or what?
I can't wait to hear those graduate stories. They are always so inspirational. The third segment focuses on the impact of COVID, how it's affected the Guatemala we know and love, and how CoEd programs have pivoted to support students throughout all of this uncertainty.
Finally, we'll invite you to take a walk in the shoes of one of our RISE scholars, Gloria. You'll learn all about the challenges she faces every day just to stay in school. It's amazing what these kids go through. And we'll see all 4 CoEd programs in action, working together to support Gloria on her journey to break the cycle of poverty in her family.
In between stops, we'll hop on the bus. Feel free to stand up and stretch your legs, or even engage in some of the fun trivia and storytelling, just like we're on a CoEd tour bus in Guatemala.
As you watch today, feel free to join in. To do this, click chat to the right of your video screen. This is a great way for you to share your thoughts, point out anything you like, or even ask questions. You know Joe loves to answer your questions. CoEd staff will be monitoring the chat and we'll do our best to answer any preguntas, questions that you might have. So ask away.
And if you feel moved to donate to CoEd during the program,
to make even more of this great work possible,
click the yellow donate button on the far right of your screen. A generous donation from the Cade Philip Setlin Giving Fund means every dollar you donate today will be matched, up to $25,000. Please help us unlock this amazing match.
A quick shout out to everyone joining us from outside of the US and to all members of Rotary International who are with us today. All that we've accomplished in 25 years is part of the Guatemala Literacy Project, our collaboration with Rotary International. So without further ado, let's get moving. You've just landed at La Aurora Airport in Guatemala City. You've cleared customs. You've grabbed your bags. You've walked out those airport doors. A CoEd driver will be meeting you soon to take you all the way to Antigua, our first stop on the tour. Vámonos pues!
Hello, everyone. My name is Howard. I've been with CoEd practically since the beginning. I'm from Aurora, Illinois originally, but I've been living in Guatemala for 21 years now. If you've been down in person, you've probably already met me guiding your tour. Today, we'll have a few intermissions between segments. This will give us a chance to play some trivia and hear a few stories from you. On this first bus ride from Guatemala City to Antigua, we'll do something we often do to pass the time on the road: trivia. And if you listen carefully, you might just hear some dogs, roosters, or trucks passing by. So, first question. Guatemala is referred to as the land of what? Peace and tranquility, diverse wildlife, eternal spring, or endless forest? That's right, Guatemala is known as the land of the eternal spring. Next question. What is the national bird of Guatemala? Is it the quetzal, the toucan, the matmat, or the macaw? The correct answer is the quetzal. Antigua was once the capital city of Guatemala. Why did residents move the capital out of Antigua? Was it due to destruction from an earthquake, destruction from a hurricane, destruction from a flood, or famine in the area. That's right, it was due to destruction from an earthquake. How many languages are spoken in Guatemala? Is it 5, 10, 15, or 25? That's right, an incredible 25 languages are spoken in Guatemala. Well, looks like we've made it to Antigua. We'll see you on the next bus ride.
Welcome to Antigua, the beautiful colonial city. And it is old. It's been around forever, but it's awesome. Founded in 1543. It's now actually protected as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. If you've been to Guatemala before, you probably already know that this is one of the best things to do here in Guatemala, to spend time in Antigua and just wander around those cobblestone streets. I do it for hours when I'm in Guatemala, and you'll just find endless shops and restaurants and churches and ruins to explore. It is a history lover's paradise, and I'm sure you will enjoy it every step of the way. Antigua is the jumping off point for all of our tours because it's in the shadow of that beautiful Volcan de Agua, that perfect ice cream cone volcano in the horizon. It gives visitors a taste of Guatemalan beauty and charm. While we won't get a chance to walk around the streets of Antigua today, we will do another of our typical tour kickoff activities, an orientation to Guatemala, to the needs that exist here, and to the programs we've developed over 25 years to address those needs. But before we dive in, I want you to meet someone very special. Silvia wants to tell you her story. It's a story that shows you why we're here and what a student can accomplish with just a little bit of support from our programs and a lot of hard work. Now, I remember Silvia when she was just a little girl. She was a 7th grader at Santiago Zacatepec School. I remember talking to her, I remember running around. She's all grown up now, and I am so proud of all that she's accomplished. And I know you will be too.
Good morning, my name is Silvia. I am from Santiago Zacatepec. I am one of the scholarship students from CoEd's program. I graduated on 2010 as accountant. That education has supported me with different jobs. For example, I worked as a secretary, an accountant, and other related jobs. After that, I was working in a part-time job that supported me to study English. Thank you for calling Spring. This is Silvia. How may I help you today? Okay, sure, I will help you, no worries. I will check your account. A moment, please. Thank you for my education. I have different experiences. By the way, I'm working of customer service. I like my job because I'm working 8 hours per day, and that's for me to make different activities, personal projects. I have 11 siblings. I am the 4th one of them, and the scholarship support my family because my father didn't worry about my education, and I could study in a good school, like I said before, from Monday to Friday. Comparing with my siblings, they have to work from Monday to Friday, and they are studying on weekends. Nowadays, I can share with you that I am one of the examples between my siblings because they look at me that I finish with my scholarship, with my studies, and I could graduated. So they want to be like me, right? And even with my brothers too. Thank you for CoEd's program and my donors Terry, because they believe in us and we are making our dreams true. And also, thank you because you are investing in education here in Guatemala. Thank you for believing in us as students.
Wow, how amazing it is that Silvia was comfortable sharing her story with us in English. I couldn't believe it. She spoke no English when she started the program. She's doing a fantastic job, and that took a lot of courage, and I am so impressed. Graduating from high school made it possible for Silvia to find jobs that paid well and gave her the flexibility to study English. She now uses English every day in her full-time job and allows her to support herself as well. This story reminds me of why we do what we do every single day at CoEd. Our mission is, let me hear it, to break the cycle of poverty in Guatemala through education. We know that when kids in Guatemala have the chance to get a quality education, they get to determine their own stories. They get to plan their own lives. They get to realize their dreams. And they go on to shape the future of the entire country. Silvia's education helped her get a full-time job with a comfortable salary and benefits. And she's now solidly a member of Guatemala's middle class. What's more, she believes strongly in the power of education, and she ensures that her younger siblings stay motivated to attend class so that they too can graduate. So there's big sister going into the home, making sure that her younger siblings get to school, do their homework, and finish and graduate. So supporting one kid often and one scholarship often becomes many scholarships as our kids help educate other members of their families. In the last 25 years, people like you, along with service groups, churches, foundations, schools, businesses, and Rotary, have brought CoEd programs to more than 261,000 students, just like Silvia. Can you believe it? That's enough to fill most Major League Baseball stadiums more than 6 times over. Many of you already know the story of how CoEd got its start, working to end the cycle of poverty through education in Guatemala. I'll bet some of you tour veterans can even tell the story about as well as I can. But for those of you who don't know, my brother Jeff, standing right there next to me in the picture, was working as a systems analyst at Procter & Gamble. When he went down to Guatemala to volunteer, he fell in love with the country and he decided to move there after trying out several different volunteer opportunities. He ended up teaching English at a school near Guatemala City. So Jeff always likes to say, you know what, I walked into school on that first day and I was just blown away. On one hand, there was a school building, right? There were desks, there was a teacher, there were students. They came every day. Their dedication to education was amazing. But on the other hand, nothing else. No materials, no books, no maps, no written stuff of any kind. It was like a car without gasoline or a car without tires. The school lacked all those basic things it needed to run. Without these tools, Jeff's hands were completely tied as a teacher. So Jeff said to me, you know what, Joe? There must be a better way. He ended up getting a grant and he started the first textbook cooperative to bring textbooks to students in the school that he was teaching at so that they could learn more effectively. So pretty soon, more schools in the area wanted this idea. They wanted textbooks too. They saw what was happening there at Lalibor and they wanted in on the action. It was about then that I joined the cause. And Jeff and I officially founded Cooperative for Education 25 years ago this year. Cannot believe it. It was back before I had any gray hair up here. 25 years ago, started Cooperative for Education. We built the model that would become our sustainable textbook program. So back then it was only textbooks. We grew from there. And since then, we've implemented almost 200 schools, 197 schools, and have reached 22,000 students. I cannot tell you how gratifying it is and how fun it is to go back to some of these original communities and present them 25-year commemorative plaques celebrating 25 years in the program. How many projects in the developing world can celebrate 25 years? So as soon as we started our work in Guatemala, we fell in love with the hard-working people who live there. Since then, we've learned a lot about the challenges and the struggles that many people in rural Guatemala face. So let's take a look at the reality of life in rural Guatemala and some of the educational challenges that teachers and students and their families face. So first of all, Guatemala is an island of illiteracy. Probably the number one question I get asked is, why Guatemala? If everywhere in the world, why Guatemala? Why Guatemala and why only Guatemala? Well, Guatemala is an island of illiteracy. That's where the problem is the worst. Neighboring countries like Mexico, Honduras, El Salvador, etc., have made progress on educational metrics. Guatemala has been left behind. Okay, a lot of reasons for this, but Guatemala has been left behind. On average, Guatemala people struggle the most financially and have less education than in neighboring countries. 80%, 8 out of 10 Guatemalans currently live in poverty. So that's not the worst of it. 1/3 of those people, so not only are they poor, but they cannot read or write. 1/3 cannot read or write. When CoEd was founded in 1996, 2 out of every 3 people had never learned to read or write. Okay, so it used to be worse. 2 out of every 3 people 25 years ago when we started. And today, 25 years later, it's down to 1 in 3. Okay, still terrible, still have a long way to go. But working with others, we've worked to help bring the rate of illiteracy in Guatemala down by 50%. Down by 50%. So positive change is possible if we work together. But still today, only 38 of every 100 children begin secondary school. 38 out of every 100. That secondary school is junior high. So many kids drop out of school before junior high, after grade school, because furthering their education is unaffordable for the family. Lack of education often means lack of opportunity. This makes life tough. And when things get tough at home, kids leave. They leave the system, the school, they leave the school, and they leave Guatemala. So as we speak, unaccompanied children are fleeing Guatemala. In fact, Guatemala is now the largest source country for undocumented migration to the United States. It recently passed up Mexico, which is 10 times larger in population. Little old Guatemala is sending more people across the border than big Mexico. When we believe that no one should have to migrate to survive. This is a huge issue with gigantic human consequences. Okay, but what can we possibly do to help? Can little CoEd here in Cincinnati, Ohio have an impact on this huge problem? Well, it turns out that we can. We can. So we believe that part of the solution to affordable quality of education is that, so part of the solution is we want to provide opportunities for people to get a quality education in their home country, okay? So we want to give kids the skills that they need in their home countries to unlock job opportunities. If they can get a decent job, they can lift their families out of poverty. And that's what we're all about. We are committed to this work, to bringing educational opportunities to those who need it the most, right in their home countries. Over the years, we've listened to the teachers and students we serve and have developed 4 programs that address the most urgent needs of education in rural Guatemala. These programs aim to keep students in school. That's the key, keep them in school. They improve education quality so that students are able to get well-paying jobs when they graduate, break that cycle of poverty, and bring their future families solidly into the middle class. So, are you ready to learn about these 4 programs? Absolutely. Okay, here we go. So you've already heard a bit about the first program, textbooks. CoEd has been bringing textbooks to middle schools for 25 years. So this goes back to before I had all this gray hair. A lot of you guys remember in those early years, all we were was a textbook program, and we've expanded greatly beyond that. But that's where we got our start. But there's still a lot of progress to be made. 90% of rural middle schools in Guatemala still don't have textbooks. Okay, so we've been working for 25 years. We've covered 10% of the country. More schools keep getting built. The population keeps getting bigger. We got 90% more to go, but we're making progress, right? We need your help. CoEd supporters like you are putting textbooks in rural Guatemala schools every single day. Okay, so this is awesome. And I like to say that if all we did was show up at these schools and unload a truckload of textbooks and roll down the road and pat ourselves on the back, this would not be a very exciting project. What makes it exciting to me is the fact that the students have a contribution. They rent the textbooks each year for a small fee. These fees add up so that schools can buy brand new books when the old ones wear out, right? The money goes into a fund. After 5 to 7 years, money comes out of the fund to buy new books. So thanks to your initial investment in books, kids in Guatemala will have new books every cycle for years and years and years to come, okay? When you go down with your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, these books will still be in the schools. I can't tell you how gratifying it is for me to visit these schools now and present 25-year plaques commemorating the start of their programs 25 years ago and to know that they're still thriving today. Very few programs in the developing world have this heavy, strong type of sustainability. So congratulations for that and thank you. So the kids have the books and that's awesome, that's great. But what are they learning? Okay, the books are a means to an end. We want to get the kids to learn better. It turns out that they are. An independent study found that the textbook program students score higher in standardized math and reading tests than students at comparison schools. So every day you are helping the education of 22,500 students in almost 200 schools that use Guatemalan or use textbooks from CoEd and Guatemala Literacy Project. So the second program that I want to introduce to you is our Computer Centers program. So a lot of you are very familiar with this too, but I want to go ahead and cover it for the new people. Almost 60%, almost 2 out of 3 entry-level jobs in Guatemala require significant computer skills. But in some communities that CoEd serves, not one student has ever touched a computer. So before our program arrived, like on the very first days when we put these labs in, you see the kids with their hands on the mouse and they're going all over the screen. They lack the fine motor skills to even control the mouse because they've never touched a computer. 3 years and 100 lessons later, these kids are showing me things. They are masters. They are excellent. They have learned so much. And think about it, because when these kids from the rural areas, they go into the job market, and if they don't have these skills, they're competing against people in the cities that do, so they get left out. This program allows kids in the rural areas to have to be very well prepared to get jobs when they graduate. So CoEd Computer Centers gives these kids, these students, the technology skills that they need. Just like the textbook program, it has the same sustainability model. Supporters like you buy the hardware upfront, all right? They buy it upfront, but it lasts for generations, thanks to the small fees that students pay each year. So again, huge impact with this program. Every single day, 13,500 students are learning in 55 CoEd computer centers. 95% of our graduates finish this program and go on to find a job or continue their education to the next level. So very, very high success rate with this program. So moving on, the third program I'd love to tell you about is our Spark Reading program. Teachers in rural Guatemala often use ineffective methods when teaching reading. So they focus on rote memorization instead of comprehension and critical thinking. And you can imagine kids get bored really fast. And since they aren't learning to read, their parents pull them out of school quickly. So what you see in Guatemala in the dropout rates, you see very unexpectedly, you see a spike right between first grade and second grade. Kids come into first grade, they fail to learn to read, and they drop out of school at the end of first grade. And once they're gone for good. They never come back into the system. Okay, so it's very important to get the kids reading by, or on their way to reading by the end of first grade and reading fully by the end of second grade. So if they don't learn to read, they grow up without basic reading skills necessary to do things like read a bank statement or read a voting ballot or read the back of a bottle of medicine. It's critical that kids learn to read in the early grades. Otherwise, they're set back for their entire lives and they repeat the cycle of poverty. So the Spark Reading Program is our antidote to this problem. We train primary school teachers to teach reading effectively. So CoEd staff provide intensive training over a 2-year period, plus follow-up coaching to make sure the teachers are using what they've learned. We don't care about seat time. The teachers have to transform their approach to their classrooms. So, and thanks to your support, we equip teachers with a library of 100 high-quality children's books to be read in their classroom to students every day. So the whole idea is you have to, if you want kids to be reading, you have to get books into the classroom. If they're in the school library, they don't do much good. They have to be in the classroom, and that's where we put these. And with the books in the classroom, plus a highly trained teacher, students achieve more in school. A randomized control trial study found that students in Spark classrooms learn, guess how much? Twice as much as kids in schools without Spark. So with Spark, twice as many students are reading fluently by the end of the 2nd grade. And now that they're learning, they stay in school. And that might be the biggest impact of all. Once they're on their way to learning to read, kids tend to stay in school. The dropout rates plummet. In the past 14 years with Spark, now we've trained over 1,100 teachers. So I like to call it an army of literacy teachers, 1,100 teachers out there teaching kids to read better, faster, and earlier. Huge, huge impact. So the last program I want to introduce you to is our RISE Youth Development Program. In Guatemala, 90% of students experiencing poverty never graduate from high school. But it takes a high school degree to support a family above the poverty line, right? So you get kids that they live in a rural area, they have no access to education, but we know education is the magic tool to get them out of poverty. So this is the program that bridges that gap. These students come from regions where many families live on less than $4 a day. Very, very poor backgrounds. The tuition and school fees are unaffordable. It's a barrier for them to go to school. And the opportunity cost of keeping your children in school is also very high when these kids could also be working and contributing to the family's income. So you have that problem as well. Not only does it cost money to keep going to school, but the value of the kids' labor as they get older and older is greater and greater, and that families are tempted to pull them out of school. I often say that education is a long-term investment, and if you're very poor, you sometimes don't have time to wait for that to pay off. You need to pull the kids out to help now. So we're trying to reverse that trend. The RISE program helps students who have great potential but face these overwhelming obstacles. RISE provides a scholarship, so the first part of this is a scholarship to middle and high school students and offers other support the kids need to thrive. So we'll talk about RISE a little bit more in our next segment. But for now, I just want to share some of the results, some of the benefits that we're seeing from this program. So normally in Guatemala, only 1 out of 10 kids that grow up in poverty graduates from high school. Only 1 in 10. With RISE, we get that up to 8 in 10. 1 in 10 to 8 in 10. And out of the 8 that graduate, 90% of them will either continue their studies to the next level or get a job right after they graduate. Most of these jobs are in the formal sector. What's a formal sector job mean? It means you get a paycheck. It means you get benefits, and it means you get steady income. You're working every week and not just on and off. That's what we aspire to for these kids. It is so hard for me to believe that we've been doing this now for 25 years, and a lot of you out there today have been with us this whole time. So thank you for that. This year, we're celebrating our 25th anniversary. The impact we've made so far would not have been possible without the power of what I call the cooperative. The cooperative. It's all of us working together. And when we do, we can and we are truly making a difference. And it takes all of us. It takes the students, the teachers, the families, our staff, and it takes all of you, our awesome supporters. We all play a key role in bringing our mission to life. Thank you for your support over the last 25 years. Well, I hope you enjoyed the orientation to the need in Guatemala and to CoEd's programs. Now we're going to hop on the bus and head to our next destination, Panajachel. So this is just like the presentation I typically give on the first day of the tour. So we're going to put our shirts on, load on that bus, fill your water bottle, and get ready to head up to Pana. And as many of you know, it's that city on the edges of beautiful Lake Atitlan, 3 perfect cone majestic volcanoes out on the horizon, one of the most beautiful vistas in the world. And here you'll learn more about the RISE Youth Development Program and hear from several RISE graduates. So let's pack up, get on the bus, and head down the road. And thank you. Thank you again for being with us here today.
Welcome back to the bus. Now, on this stage, we're heading from Antigua to Panajachel, the largest town on beautiful Lake Atitlan. Let's get started with a few trivia questions about the lake. First question. English author Aldous Huxley, who wrote Brave New World, once called Lake Atitlan the blank lake in the world. Was it the roughest, most beautiful, the calmest, or the most captivating? That's right, the correct answer is the most beautiful lake. Lake Atitlan has been described with this superlative. Is it the highest altitude lake in Central America? The lake with the most diverse fish in Central America? The deepest lake in Central America? Or the lake with the bluest waters in Central America? It is the deepest lake in Central America. Now, what is the national flower of Guatemala? Is it the monja blanca, the chrysanthemum, the rosa de Jamaica, or the flor de isote? The national flower is the monja blanca. Guatemala is roughly the size of what U.S. state? Is it Texas, Ohio, Rhode Island, or Vermont? Guatemala is roughly the size of Ohio. Well, we made it to Panajachel. Enjoy your time on beautiful Lake Atitlan.
Hola, soy Candice y soy la coordinadora del programa RISE. Bienvenidos a Panajachel. Es una ciudad concurrida a orillas del hermoso lago de Atitlán. Este lago es en realidad una caldera o un cráter volcánico. Se formó hace 84,000 años, después de la erupción volcánica masiva. Cuando CoEd visita el lago de Atitlán de gira, siempre hacemos un recorrido en barco. Incluso nos detenemos para visitar algunos de los 12 pueblos que rodean el lago. Cada pueblo tiene su cultura y ambientes únicos. CoEd apoya a muchas comunidades alrededor del lago con programas de libros de texto y centros de computación. También apoyamos varias ubicaciones del programa RISE en pueblos cercanos. En este segmento analizaremos más a fondo el programa de desarrollo juvenil RISE. Incluso escucharemos a varios graduados sobre cómo el programa ha cambiado su vida. ¿Escuchó la asombrosa estadística en nuestro último segmento? El 90% de los estudiantes en las zonas rurales de Guatemala nunca se gradúan de la escuela secundaria. Pero los jóvenes de Guatemala necesitan al menos un título de escuela secundaria para mantener a una familia por encima de la línea de la pobreza. Con el programa de desarrollo juvenil RISE de CoEd, 8 de cada 10 estudiantes se gradúan. Ya aprendiste los conceptos básicos sobre el programa RISE, pero es posible que se pregunte exactamente cómo ayuda a los estudiantes a permanecer en la escuela. Hay tantos desafíos para los estudiantes en las zonas rurales de Guatemala. Las tasas escolares son inaccesibles, no recibe apoyo en el hogar, a menudo lo presionan para que abandone los estudios. Estos obstáculos se vuelven demasiado para muchos estudiantes. Al final de sexto grado, están parados al borde de un precipicio metafórico. Han terminado la escuela primaria, pero continuar su educación es inaccesible. Cada año la escolaridad que hayan obtenido hasta ahora les ayudará en la vida, pero se necesitan 12 años completos de educación y un título de escuela secundaria para escapar de la pobreza. Ahí es donde entra en juego el programa RISE. RISE ayuda a los estudiantes a cerrar la brecha para que llegue con seguridad al otro lado. Todo el camino hasta la graduación de la escuela secundaria. Esos 6 años más de educación son fundamentales para alcanzar una vida más allá de la pobreza. Eso es exactamente lo que sucedió con Lizbeth. Escuchemos su historia y cómo RISE la ayudó a cerrar la brecha.
Hola, mi nombre es Lizbeth Paola Sutzanón, soy del caserío Chuchilón de Chimasat. En mi vida personal he tenido varios retos, ya que pues desde quinto primaria mi mamá se quedó sola, así que ella tuvo que ver por las necesidades de toda la familia. Vi retos bastante grandes en donde creí pues que no iba a poder ni siquiera terminar la primaria, pero sin embargo pues se me dio la oportunidad y culminé mi primaria, empecé a estudiar mis básicos en el instituto de Chimasat y me topé con una gran sorpresa que en segundo básico pues conocí al gran equipo de CoEd, que fueron esa arma que me impulsó y me ayudó a poder continuar con mis estudios. Inicié la carrera de bachiller en turismo y hotelería. Pues en el segundo año de carrera se me presentó un gran reto en el sentido económico y también en el sentido pues emocional. Sin embargo, pues señor Ani fue ese apoyo para mí. Ella fue la que platicó conmigo a poder continuar con mis estudios. CoEd también siempre estuvo ahí apoyándome, no solo exigiéndome, sino siempre también apoyándome emocionalmente. Y gracias a eso pues continué estudiando en el Liceo Tecpan hasta lograr graduarme. Cuando culminé mi carrera en el 2019, tomé la decisión de seguir un curso de auxiliar de enfermería. Pues ha sido una experiencia bastante maravillosa también, porque gracias a ello pues he aprendido muchas cosas, de igual apoyar a los que lo necesitan, como algún día me apoyaron a mí.
A mí me alegra mucho saber que Lizbeth Paola continuó con sus sueños de seguir estudiando enfermería. También me llena de orgullo verla trabajar con mucha dedicación y responsabilidad. Recuerdo que en una ocasión estuvo a punto de abandonar sus estudios. Fuimos a su casa, la visitamos, platicamos con ella y nos dimos cuenta que lo que hacía falta es animarla un poco.
Gracias a Dios, pues ahora trabajo en la finca Bonanza La Ponderosa. Pues me dedico a la camarería prácticamente, que es en el área del hotel, para hacer check-in, check-out de las cabañas. En ocasiones o en fechas festivas, pues apoyo igual en el área de producción, en restaurante, o ya sea en mesas. Sigo soñando en grande. Como un día aprendí con señor Ani, nunca hay que dejar de soñar, pero siempre hay que trabajar en ello. Así que pues mi gran reto ahora es seguir la universidad, culminarla con gran éxito y que sea un triunfo más para mí.
El programa RISE ayudó a cerrar la brecha para Lizbeth. Ani, su facilitador de RISE, la apoyó a través de los desafíos que estaba atravesando y la ayudó a ver el valor de permanecer en la escuela. Ahora, gracias en parte a su título de diversificado, Lizbeth tiene un gran trabajo que disfruta y está planeando cómo continuar sus estudios en la universidad. Entonces, ahora ha visto que el programa RISE brinda otros servicios más allá de la beca financiera. RISE es un sólido programa de desarrollo juvenil que incluye una gran cantidad de servicios de apoyo para ayudar a los niños a permanecer en la escuela y prepararlos para el futuro. La beca económica constituye el núcleo del programa, pagando costos de matrícula y comprando un uniforme y útiles escolares. Pero luego, los becarios asisten a talleres sobre temas como emprendimiento, educación financiera, autoestima, derechos humanos, liderazgo y trabajo en equipo. Estos talleres les ayudan a identificar los problemas que pueden estar viviendo en sus propias comunidades y aprenden a desarrollar soluciones. Estos talleres también les ayudan a desarrollar las habilidades que necesitarán para tener éxito en una carrera profesional. Aprenden a preparar un currículum y a practicar una entrevista de trabajo. El programa RISE brinda exposición a las carreras que existen. Si le preguntas a un estudiante en Guatemala qué quiere ser cuando sea grande, la mayoría dirá que es un maestro. Ese suele ser la única persona profesional que han visto. Sus pueblos no tienen contadores, arquitectos, ingenieros. Es por eso que RISE les presenta a los niños una amplia variedad de trabajos y cómo es estar en un campus universitario. RISE los hace pensar en sus opciones. A través de RISE conocerán modelos a seguir de diferentes carreras que ni siquiera sabían que existían. RISE también proporciona un sistema de apoyo para ayudar a los estudiantes a superar desafíos que enfrentan. El personal de nuestro programa supervisa las calificaciones de los estudiantes y se reúnen con los estudiantes y sus padres para alentarlos y abordar cualquier desafío. Trabajamos con otras organizaciones y brindamos referencias a los estudiantes para asesoramiento o atención médica cuando sea necesario. Los estudiantes mayores en el programa sirven como tutores o mentores. Otros estudiantes en el programa forman una comunidad de compañeros que se apoyan mutuamente. Finalmente, los padres brindan aliento día a día en el hogar y asisten a talleres para aprender cómo ayudar a sus hijos a tener éxito. Un componente final del programa es el servicio comunitario. Al planificar y ejecutar sus propios proyectos de servicio comunitario, los estudiantes aprenden habilidades de liderazgo y toman medidas para mejorar sus comunidades. Ese enfoque integral es lo que marca la diferencia. Nos da resultados que vemos año tras año. El 80% de los estudiantes se gradúan. El 90% de esos graduados continúan sus estudios o consiguen un trabajo. En su mayoría en el sector formal. Nada más salir de la escuela, ganan más de 4 veces que sus padres. En promedio, a lo largo de su carrera, su inversión inicial en su educación se amortiza más de 25 veces. Y la mitad de los graduados incluso pagan la educación de sus hermanos menores. Esta será verdaderamente la primera generación en la historia de su familia en salir de la pobreza. Has escuchado las estadísticas, ahora escuchemos algunas historias más. Mi equipo se conectó con 2 graduandos más de RISE para ver dónde están ahora y cómo RISE los ayudó a llegar allí. Luego escuchará a Joe sobre lo que sigue para el programa.
Mi nombre es Ovidio Amilcar Mikulash Mitsut, originario de la aldea de las Camelias. Yo conseguí la beca a través del Instituto Mixto de Educación Básica por Cooperativa Aldea de las Camelias. Sin esa beca, prácticamente yo no hubiera tenido la oportunidad de seguir estudiando. Gracias a eso yo pude seguir con una carrera. Estoy muy agradecido con CoEd. ¿Por qué razón? Porque a través de la oportunidad que me dieron pude desarrollar mi mente. Por ejemplo, lo que más me ayudó bastante también las negociaciones, también me ayudó bastante lo que son el autoestima y cómo conocí el internet. Me prestaron un smartphone, los primeros smartphones que salieron. Y empecé a ver cuáles son las cosas y de ahí pues vi el poder del internet. Y cuando fui conociendo cuáles son los que sí se pudiera sacar, porque ahí recordemos de que ahí siempre hay bueno y hay malo. Entonces yo vi y también aquí en estos sectores donde vivo, lo que es Aldea Las Camelias, Las Trompetas, San Lorenzo, El Cojobal, Los Encuentritos, no tenía acceso. Prácticamente yo decidí también a través de un proveedor de que él me apoyó Entonces prácticamente ahí igual me estaba guiando cómo hacer los pasos para ir configurando todo. Entonces ahí cuando empezamos a distribuir internet casa en casa para que la gente también tenga la posibilidad de ver o hacer tareas para los niños o también ver sus familiares que están en otros países. Y sigo trabajando también porque tengo metas y sueños todavía. Y también necesito, bueno, ayudar a la gente. Trato de dar un mejor servicio para que la gente también nos prefieran a nosotros. Actualmente estamos trabajando también en un café internet. Igual está trabajando una ex becada conmigo donde ayudamos a la gente que están llenando papelería para viajarse legalmente en Canadá. E igual algunas aplicaciones o algún requisito.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Yusby Rosbeli Chicopbar. CoEd me abrió las puertas para poder seguir estudiando, tenía el apoyo de mis papás. Después de finalizar mis estudios de diversificado, decidí entrar a la Universidad de San Carlos a estudiar una carrera de profesorado. Pero en el transcurso de mi estudio me di cuenta de que no me miraba como maestra en un futuro. Y mis papás, como tenían un negocio y mi papá era agente de seguridad en el IX de accidentes, miraba siempre a enfermería, a médicos y me empezó a llamar la atención de esa profesión. Inicié como mi carrera de enfermera en el año 2012 y yo cada fin de semana yo iba a trabajar con mis papás y en el tiempo de vacaciones. Durante el tiempo de mis prácticas estuve siempre en varias comunidades y hospitales. En una de la finalización de mi carrera fui al instituto donde estudié, en el Instituto por Cooperativa de aquí de Santiago, Zacatepeques, a dar un tema sobre motivación a corto y a largo plazo. Y hablé uno de los temas de que fue cómo inicié yo estudiando y cómo CoEd me ayudó a poder seguir finalizando mis estudios. También seguí mi carrera de la licenciatura, finalicé y cerré pensum y el día de ayer tuve mi defensa de tesis y gracias a Dios logré finalizarla con éxito y ahora estoy esperando mi fecha de graduación. Ahora actualmente soy supervisora en un hospital privado trabajando como enfermera y también tengo aquí un negocio que inicié de una farmacia porque ya me conocieron por mi profesión, ya me conocen las personas y yo sé que he motivado más de alguna persona a seguir sus sueños y trabajar para luchar y lograr todo lo que se proponga. Agradezco inmensamente a CoEd por el gran apoyo que me han brindado durante toda mi carrera, mis estudios, principalmente a Cindy y Mario Contreras, que ellos fueron los que iniciaron y tuve el gusto de conocerlos, compartir con ellos. Ellos son unas grandes y maravillosas personas y siempre que puedo se los agradezco bastante.
Wow, amazing stories. It's always a pleasure to hear what RISE graduates have done since graduation and how their lives have changed their own hard work and participation in the RISE program. That CoEd scholarship helped Ovidio stay in school, and he's continued learning about technology, his passion ever since. He created a business from the ground up that's allowed him to build a very comfortable house for his family and provide internet access to his town where they need it the most. Now he's living out there near the hillsides on the outskirts of Antigua. And I know those areas, and believe me, they do need access to internet as much as possible, and especially during the pandemic. So he's making a big contribution there. The CoEd scholarship also helped Yusby complete her high school degree. She followed her passion to become a nurse so that she could help people in her village. And she just passed her nursing exam. Is that awesome or what? What a huge accomplishment for Yusby. I remember when Yusby was just a little girl, she used to welcome us out at Santiago Zacatepeques school with flowers when we would walk in the door. I am so touched and so excited about and so proud of her for all that she has accomplished in her life due to this program and due to your support. RISE has touched just so many lives in the past 22 years, and we focused on continuing to grow this program because we've seen the positive impact that it makes. I mean, it is a big deal. It truly changes lives. So now I want to share a huge milestone with you because you all played a large part in bringing this to life. Back when the RISE program was still in its early days of expansion, a lot of you will remember this. We introduced the 1,000 Girls Initiative. It was a lofty goal to change the lives of 1,000 girls through the RISE program. Okay, we started this about 7 years ago. And we started the 1,000 Girls Initiative because development experts agree that educating girls can have more impact than any other investment that you make in the developing world. Okay, you get a huge ripple effect when you help girls. You improve health, you improve survival rates of children, you improve school attendance. All this affects the future generation. Girls go to school, they get educated, they get married, they become moms, and they're the ones responsible for preparing that next generation. So you get a huge bounce, a huge ripple effect from educating girls. So along with all of these benefits, just to note that we don't leave out the boys, okay? So we care about the boys, but in rural Guatemala, there are 3 boys in school for every 2 girls. So the boys are overly represented compared to the girls. The 1,000 Girls Initiative helps the girls catch up while not leaving the boys out. So it's an important point to remember. So our goal for RISE was to reach 1,000 girls total, whether that's graduated or in school at this very moment. So, and thanks to the power of our cooperative efforts, everybody working together, we are extremely pleased to announce, drum roll, that as of our 2022 school year, 1,000 girls have either graduated or are currently enrolled in the program. Yes. So while the 1,000th girl is already enrolled in the program, we do need to ensure that every one of these girls has a sponsor to see them through to graduation, okay? So we have the champagne bottle in hand, our fingers are on the cork, but we are not gonna pop that cork until we make sure that even though that we have 1,000 in the program, every single one is sponsored. If you would like to help us take the final steps over the goals finish line, you can sponsor one of these kids today, listed right here on the right side of your screen. Okay, so just click on the right side of the screen there, and you can sponsor one of these kids and get us over the finish line. I would love to uncork this champagne bottle tonight, knowing that we have your support in getting every one of these kids educated. But if you know it all by now, if you know us at all, you know that we are not going to rest on our laurels for too long. There is still an immense need for our programs. So what is on the horizon for CoEd? Okay, looking out 5 years, 10 years, what is on our horizon? Right now, there are almost 800 kids enrolled in the RISE program. Is that hard to believe or what? We've grown a lot in the last few years. In the coming years, we want to nearly double that number and grow our program to the point of serving 1,500 students each year. With your help, we can change even more lives. All right, so keep that in mind. And now it is time to say goodbye to Panajachel. Hop back on the bus to Xela. We'll hear all about our programs and how they've adapted over the last 2 years and continue to transform the lives of people in Guatemala despite the challenges imposed by the pandemic. So hang in there, stay with us. Can't wait to tell you about how we're changing lives, even with the pandemic.
On this bus ride from Lake Atitlan to the city of Xela, we're going to share some tour stories that staff and donors have sent in. Thank you to everyone who sent in their stories. Okay, we've arrived in Xela. We're now going to hear a little bit about how our programs have adapted over the past few years.
CoEd's Senior Strategy and Impact Coordinator. Welcome to Xela, Guatemala's second largest city. On some of our tours, we visit Xela or the surrounding villages to dedicate a new computer center or textbook program. In this segment, we will look at how the pandemic has affected these communities and share the innovative ways our programs have adapted. In March of 2020, Guatemala experienced its first COVID case and death. The government acted quickly and broadly, closing borders, schools, and offices. This posed a catastrophic challenge for the people we serve in Guatemala, many of who do not have an economic safety net and struggle to put food on the table. Despite the government's efforts to secure more health resources, Guatemala's healthcare system was crippled by COVID. Public hospitals were now running out of hospital beds, ventilators, oxygen, and even anesthesia. But even those not in the hospital were affected. 6 million children in Guatemala were now faced with the challenge of learning from home while classes were suspended. And in the rural areas we serve, hardly any families have computers at home. So virtual schooling was extremely difficult. Providing quality education to students has been more challenging in the past few years than any other time in recent history. Dropout rates have surged, and the need for our programs is higher than it's ever been. Over the past 2 years, the schools have gone through various periods of being fully back in person, hybrid, or fully virtual. Throughout all of this, our team has continued to innovate and refresh our programs to best serve students under these ever-changing circumstances. Since we couldn't have in-person classes or workshops, we found ways to deliver RISE content to students remotely. The program's local facilitators who live in or near the RISE communities they serve have guided students through printed manuals remotely, throughout follow-up calls, text messages, WhatsApp, and videos. Our local facilitators check in with students frequently by phone throughout the pandemic. And thanks to donors like you, who immediately stepped up to help build a student relief fund, facilitators were able to provide extra financial assistance to RISE scholar families when needed it. In addition to helping pay for food and pandemic job losses, funds were used to help a RISE student's family rebuild their home after it burned down in an electrical fire, and transport a RISE student who fell sick to a clinic in another village. She is now healthy and well. Our Spark reading program saw some changes too. We created an online training platform to virtually train teachers in the Spark methodology. The platform also help us reach teachers who are from our normal service areas. With kids out of school, they were unable to learn from in-person reading instruction. So our Spark team wrote and produced tarjetones, portable reading cards kids can use at home to practice reading with their parents. So far, we have distributed 52,000 tarjetones of 32 different books. With many students lacking access to the internet, CoEd textbooks were an educational lifeline during the pandemic. Luckily, the students at about 200 schools had access to high-quality CoEd textbooks. Thanks to these books, they could continue studying math, science, Spanish language, and social studies at home. Since most of our students don't have access to a computer at home, our program staff and teachers created videos and exercises that the students could do at home. Often, students were able to watch the videos on their family's smartphone or use printed worksheets. Our computer program staff also built a platform that enables quality computer education, even if we're operating in a hybrid learning environment. The platform gives students access to view and complete curriculum at their own pace. When students can safely be in the computer labs, they can pick up where they left off, or they can repeat lessons if they need additional practice. The platform allows the curriculum to be delivered with only a teacher guide, instead of a fully dedicated computer teacher. This will help us expand into smaller rural schools that we couldn't support before due to their financial limitations. While we're still dealing with the challenges of the pandemic, we have developed tools that will not only help us serve our students during the unpredictable time, but will also help us reach even more students and teachers in the years to come. I want to take a moment to give a heartfelt thanks to the local staff of each of our programs who have been there through the worst of the pandemic. Their dedication and creativity has allowed us to continue supporting our students and teachers during an extremely difficult time. And thanks to you, our donors, for continuing to believe in our programs. With that, it is time to say bye to Xela and head to Patzicía. There, we will follow Gloria, one of our RISE students, as she heads to school. So let's get back on the bus.
Now, on this last bus ride from Xela to the town of Patzicía, we want to hear from you. Take a moment to share in the chat one of your favorite moments or memories with CoEd. Maybe it was a visit to Guatemala. Maybe it was a letter from a student you sponsor through RISE. Or perhaps it was a fun night out supporting CoEd at our annual Fall Fiesta. We'd like to hear from you now. Thank you for sharing your experiences. Now, we're going to transport ourselves to the village of Cerritos Asunción outside of Patzicía, where we'll get to walk in the shoes of one of our RISE scholars. You'll get to see a typical day in her life, and you'll get to see our programs in action at her school.
Mi nombre es Gloria Marlene. Soy de Cerritos Asunción, Patzicía, Chimaltenango. Soy la menor de 8 hermanos. En mi familia la situación económica siempre ha sido difícil. De mis hermanos hombres, 2 lograron graduarse. Y de mis hermanas mujeres, lamentablemente no pudieron seguir estudiando. Yo quería seguir estudiando, pero por la situación económica pensé que no lo podría lograr, como les ha pasado a muchas otras niñas de mi comunidad. Y CoEd me ha apoyado tanto en mi rendimiento económico y me ha apoyado psicológicamente también con los talleres de desarrollo juvenil. Me ha ayudado a crecer y desarrollar mentalmente.
Bienvenidos al Instituto de Cerritos Asunción. Muchos de ustedes ya nos han visitado, algunos estarán planeando visitarnos en el futuro. El Instituto de Educación Básica de Cerritos Asunción se ha destacado por buscar la mejora de la calidad de la educación. Hemos tenido una larga trayectoria en conjunto con CoEd. En el 2002 iniciamos con el programa de libros de texto, lo que ha permitido contar con contenidos actualizados para el bien de los estudiantes y de la región, de la comunidad que atendemos.
Saludo a todos en esta oportunidad. Me presento como Alejandro Per, catedrático de Matemática del Instituto de Educación Básica por Cooperativa Asunción. Muy agradecidos con CoEd por apoyarnos con los libros de texto. Todos los alumnos cuentan con ese material. Es bastante didáctico, ¿verdad? Y también los alumnos se han animado porque no solo tienen la oportunidad de utilizarlo en el salón de clases, sino que también se lo llevan a su casa para continuar con la tarea. Nuevamente agradecemos a CoEd por ese apoyo que nos está brindando y especialmente en este año que estamos renovando los libros de texto.
En el 2010 iniciamos con el programa de Centros de Tecnología en el área rural, que ha brindado el servicio a los estudiantes con la computación y así estar a la vanguardia de la tecnología.
El primer año en el que trabajamos, ¿verdad? Para mí fue un reto porque los estudiantes de primer ingreso, la mayoría no sabía encender ni siquiera una computadora. Sin embargo, al finalizar el año, la satisfacción que tenemos desde que logramos realizar una base de datos nos sirvió para poder trabajar un inventario para la biblioteca de nuestra comunidad.
En el 2014 iniciamos con el programa de becas, que ha fortalecido el programa de la educación de las áreas rurales, especialmente para los jóvenes y señoritas que buscan la mejora de la educación en el área rural.
El programa de becas tiene intervenciones muy completas y eso me hace sentir a mí muy feliz y orgullosa de mi trabajo. En el proceso de selección buscamos a jóvenes y a señoritas que estén en riesgo de abandonar sus estudios por situaciones económicas, pero sobre todo que tengan el interés y crean en la educación como clave para su futuro. En el programa de becas brindamos un apoyo económico a nuestros estudiantes para cubrir gastos de sus estudios, pero también les brindamos mucho apoyo. Junto a mis compañeras facilitadores y supervisores mantenemos constante comunicación con nuestros estudiantes para detectar si hubiera algún caso en riesgo. En el componente de desarrollo juvenil trabajamos temas que a ellos los puedan motivar y los puedan crecer como profesionales y ciudadanos.
Se ha implementado el programa de Cultura por la Lectura, que ha permitido formar a docentes y buscar la mejora en la lectoescritura de las escuelas del nivel primario.
La escuela ha venido trabajando durante varios años consecutivos en el nivel primario con el programa CoEd y recientemente fue incluido a este dicho programa el nivel preprimario. Este programa ha venido a fortalecer y a promover en nosotros los docentes diversas herramientas como metodologías innovadoras de aprendizaje en los distintos talleres o capacitaciones que ellos nos han brindado durante estos tiempos. Este programa cuenta con varias estrategias como lo es la pizarra interactiva, el proceso de lectoescritura, el baúl de actividades, entre otros. Entre las herramientas que ellos nos han hecho proporcionar son los libros de cuentos que hemos utilizado para el proceso de enseñanza-aprendizaje en nuestros niños y niñas.
Gracias a la beca de CoEd estoy estudiando y estoy continuando con mis sueños. Actualmente me encuentro estudiando en el ciclo diversificado para graduarme como perito contador y para mí es muy importante seguir mis metas y mis sueños porque quiero ser una gran profesional y trabajar en una de las empresas más grandes e importantes de mi país. Asimismo, quiero darles una vida mejor a mi familia y a mis hermanos.
Well, our tour is coming to an end. We're headed back to Guatemala City and we're going to hop on the next flight. Thank you so much for joining us today and for your continued support. We all play a huge role in bringing CoEd's mission to life. This work would not be possible without your support and your advocacy. Thank you so much.
And a special shout out to our event sponsors, generous donors, and members of the Guatemala Literacy Project Advisory Board, who helped cover the cost of today's event and allowed us to go on this virtual tour to Guatemala for free. And thank you to everyone who donated during today's event. Remember, any donations made to support this virtual tour will be matched dollar for dollar, up to $25,000, thanks to the generous matching grant of the Cade Phillips Setland Giving Fund.
We hope you enjoyed seeing the work we're all making possible together. We are the Cooperative for Education after all. We're a partnership of students, teachers, parents, staff, and donors. It takes all of us working together to truly bring CoEd's mission to life. Thank you again for all your love and support. We hope to see you again in Guatemala really soon. Muy pronto.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Thanks.